I'm Cecily, and then behind me we have Susan and Amy. And then behind you is Darla, or no, not Darla, we have Kim and Darla, I think. But anyway, we're all going to bring you the program this afternoon. But before we get started, I do have a couple of quick, kind of important things to go over with you, and I will make them quick. But the first has to do with photography. Please take any pictures or videos, anything like that that you'd like. We do ask that you stay seated while you do any of that, though, and not raise any of your equipment any higher than head height. Part of that's just a courtesy to your neighbor, but there's another equally important reason. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Now, after the show, we're going to have one of our great horned owls out for you to get more pictures of, and after the program is when we'll be taking questions. You're going to hear a lot of information, and we love it when you have questions, but to kind of keep things moving along, we will wait until after the program to take them. So hang on to those thoughts, and you'll want to keep your hands down. Now, the last thing is really the most important thing. It's also the most fun thing about this show. It is a free flight program. That means a lot of these birds are going to be flying around. Some of them are going to be flying right over your heads. Now, when they do that, they might only clear you by about this much, maybe half an inch. So they fly with their talons up. Nobody gets whacked with any razor-sharp talons. They actually have a reason for doing this. We'll talk about that later as well. Also, even though this is a nice-sized group, sometimes they'll kind of fold their wings up and go in between you and the person sitting next to you. So you can either scoot closer together or further apart, depending on how you feel about that. But I do want to make sure you understand how close you're going to see some of these birds. Obviously, you're here to see them. Not everybody is comfortable seeing them that close. If that is too close for comfort for you or anybody in your group, really the best place to watch is from the other side of the fenced area. Everyone there sees and hears the entire show. The only difference is you don't have the birds directly overhead. Also, you probably noticed the signs as you came in that once we've gone through our briefing, which we have, we can't let anyone else in. If you were waiting for family or friends and you still wanted to watch with them, you would want to exit at this time and watch from the outside as well. So I'll give anybody a chance to make a seat change to the outside. If you want to make a change, this is a great time to do it, and Darla would be happy to let you out. So, okay, everybody looks pretty comfortable, which is great. But you probably figured out you are in our flight zone. So we do have two really important favors to ask of you. And that is that the first thing is we need everyone, including kids, to stay seated with their hands down throughout the show. We also ask the kids pretty much under the age of 14 stay with their parents or whoever the adults were that brought them throughout the program. The reason we ask this favor of you is these birds are low flyers, and actually when they're up here looking out at you, they see you as part of the benches that you're sitting on, so they're not expecting you to move. And that's when if somebody raises that camera or iPad up high for that great shot, kids get excited. Sometimes adults do too, but they reach up to see how close they can get to touching a bird. Now, these birds are really low flyers. They're not expecting any of that. They're focused on the handlers in the back. Their bones are semi-hollow, so in the event of a collision, it could mean injury actually to our birds. So we do appreciate it if everyone does stay seated with hands down throughout the show. Also, the more still you are, the closer they get to you, so that's kind of fun too. Okay, we're ready to start, and we are going to be starting with the night shift. This is one time when it is absolutely okay to shout out an answer. Don't raise your hand. But what raptors hunt at night? Owls, absolutely. Now, owls are cool for a lot of reasons. One is that they're really pretty smart because when you think about it, they figured out if they hunt at night, they don't have to compete with daytime raptors for food. So they have different adaptations for hunting at night. One of them is that really silent flight. If you are lucky enough to see an owl, it's usually maybe right when the sun is coming up or just as it's going down, kind of at that cusp of dawn and dusk. And that's called crepuscular. And by the time they've flown overhead and you realize what you see, they are gone because they're so quiet. So this is the part of the show where we like to give a demonstration of that silent flight. It is a lot of fun and it's mostly safe. But for this, I will need, and this actually works best if somebody has not seen the show before, but I need a very brave volunteer to help me demonstrate the silent flight of owls. I think in the second row with the green and white striped shirt, yes, that's you. I think you were first. You might take one last picture of her, whoever you're with, just to read. No, you'll get her back. She'll be fine. But we do have a set of stairs over here. So I do appreciate you volunteering. Okay, let's start by telling me your name. Darlene? It's nice to meet you, Darlene. Where are you from? Darlene from Phoenix. That's perfect. Well, come on over here, Darlene. I'm going to explain to everyone, including Darlene, what's going on. You can have a seat on our fake rock. Okay, Darlene, you are no longer just Darlene from Phoenix. You are Darlene the mouse from Phoenix, okay? So you guys, actually, we're going to pretend you're all mice. Now, you've come to Bearizona for a few days, you mice, because there's a lot of fun things to do here and good stuff to eat. Now, there's a lot of you, but there used to be a lot more. Darlene has noticed that every day there seem to be fewer and fewer mice. Something bad is happening at night, and Darlene wants to find out what it is. So tonight, when the rest of you mice are out running around and frolicking, or whatever they do at night, Darlene, you're going to stay back and be on the lookout for danger. So you're going to be our guard mouse. Are you okay with that? Okay, Darlene is a very brave and a very smart mouse. She knows you guys all go out in the middle of the night when it's dark. She feels good about that. When it's dark out, not very many things can see you. And then she's going to find the cover of this old tree. And Darlene has found this nice fake rock to hide under. It's really dark there, too. So she's feeling pretty safe. The only problem with that, Darlene, it's so dark you can't see either. So we're going to recreate that dark nighttime experience with the blindfold. Are you okay to wear a blindfold? Okay, you look pretty brave to me. I'll let you put it on. It's got a Velcro fastening to it, so nice and tight over your eyes. Okay. Darlene Mouse, can you see anything? Okay, Darlene can't see, which is probably for the best. Now, Darlene, you are a very quiet mouse, but you're going to have to be quieter now because mice can't talk. So when you warn your fellow mice that there's danger coming, you will have to squeak to warn them. So I want you to give me your best, and it's got to be pretty loud, practice mouse squeak. Squeak. Well, that was pretty good. I'm not sure they can hear you in the back, and to be fair, Darlene's only been a mouse for about 30 seconds. So we do have a backup plan for our quieter mice. We have a toy squeaker that sounds like this. So if you put your hand out, put that in there, give it a couple good hard squeaks, make sure it works. Perfect. You guys can hear in the back, and this is important. This is life or death. When Darlene starts squeaking, you need to run for cover. We're almost ready, but this is the most dangerous part of the show. We're about to see the largest owl species in the world, and we don't want anything bad to happen to Darlene. We're very safety conscious here at Bearizona. So I do have some special protective headgear for Darlene, and this is actually required headgear for all of our volunteers. These are talon deflectors, so I think she's going to be just fine. Now, we've released the owl, so Darlene, your job is to, when you hear that owl coming to get us, to squeak to warn the rest of us so we can escape. Are you ready, Darlene? Okay, here we go. Oh, you were quick. You barely took off. I will give you that, but go ahead and take your blindfold off. I think you just got, I was nervous squeaking there, but I'll let you stand up and turn around and look up and see what swooped down on you. He was actually pretty quiet. You did well to hear him. And you know, she might have gotten a little bit of a foot nibbled off, so she might limp a little bit. But Darlene risked her mouse life to save all of you. So let's give her a big round of applause. That was perfect, Darlene. Thank you. You can go join the rest of your group now, and you're going to be seeing more of this guy because he's still hungry. Now this is Malachi. Malachi is a male Eurasian eagle owl. It is the largest owl species in the world. In the raptor world, it's the female that's bigger than the male, so his female counterpart's going to be larger than he is. Now, I want you to take a look at him, and without raising your hands, I want you to just shout out how many pounds you think this bird weighs. Anybody know?
6.
25? You're a little
6.
high.
Yell it.
6.
13, 6. You're right about there. There he goes. He's a little distracted there. He weighs actually almost 4 pounds, and he is as big as he's going to get. Remember, their bones are semi-hollow, but a female can get up to 10 pounds, 2.5 times his size. They are really large animals. Now, on him, you may have noticed he's got those tufts on his head. That's because he is in the horned owl family. It's a pretty quiet flyer. Those are not horns or ears. They're just decoration. His ears are on either side of his head, just like ours are. And that satellite dish-shaped face that owls have, that's actually designed to pull sound into it, pushes it to those ears on the side. The other thing we notice with him are the eyes. They're huge, and there is a reason owls have such big eyes. It is true that they mainly hunt at night. They can hunt during the day, but they mainly hunt at night. But I will tell you a secret, and that is they can't see in total darkness any more than you can or I can. They have to have light to see. Now think about what light we have at night. Not a lot. We've got starlight and moonlight. So what owls did is they evolved to have great big egg-shaped eyes that are used to gather in that little bit of light, which is all the light they need to see. Now, these eyes are so big, they take up more room in their skulls than their brains do. And because of their large size and their shape, they're really stuffed in there. You and I have little round eyes, so we can kind of roll our eyes around our head or look back and forth. Malachi can't do that. For him to look around, he needs to rotate that whole head and neck. So this is another fun question, but how many degrees, here he comes again, or how far around do you think an owl can turn its head? Just shout it out.
300.
All the way. He could do that once, and then we need a new owl. That's a great answer. Anybody else? 180. Falcons and hawks can do that. He could do more.
270.
270 is exactly right. He can go 3/4 of the way. Now, when he does that one direction, if you blink at the right time and he does it the other, it does look like his head's spinning around. He can do that because his neck is twice as long as ours. We have 7 cervical vertebrae, and he's got 14. So underneath all those feathers is a really long and a really flexible neck. Now he's getting ready to fly again. Some of you, if you're closer, may notice that he's starting to pant a little bit. These are cold weather birds, and it's a little warm even for us. But raptors can't sweat. They are more like dogs, and when they have to cool off, they will pant. There he goes again. Now he's feathered all the way down to his talons because, again, where he's from, it's really cold. So he thrives in really frigid temperatures. Now this is a bird that's about 14. He is still a youngster. There's really a good chance that he'll live into his 60s. In general, the larger the raptor species, the longer lived it is. It's kind of opposite of what you would think. So we're going to get him back up here to do one more flight, or one flight back up. And he's a low flyer, makes you duck. But another fun question with owls is there are times when different groups of birds, will group together, and I know there's flocks of birds. There are also specialized names. We call it a murder of crows, for example, and a kennel of vultures. There are times when owls will group together, and there's a name for that as well. So I want you to tell me what you think a group of owls is called, and it's not hooters, so it's something else. Anybody? I bet somebody knows out there. It's a parliament of owls, which is really kind of fun because they look very wise. Like when they're getting together, they're discussing something very important. Now owls also, you'll notice, especially when you see our other birds come out, they really zip around. Owls take their time, so because they rely on stealth, they're used to more of a slower pace. So he's slowly making his way back to his air-conditioned enclosure back there. But we're going to keep talking about owls, and we're going to talk a little bit about great horned owls. We have one to show you in just a minute. But owls are like all raptors in that they only eat meat. There's no nuts or seeds or fruit for these guys. They hunt animals. And in the case of our great horned owl, one of the animals it hunts is an animal that all of your other top nighttime predators are deathly afraid of. If you've been through the park, the walk-through, and seen the fox or the bobcat, but coyote and even mountain lion, they may try to take this creature once. But if they survive that, they won't try it again. But our brave great horned owl loves to hunt this scary nighttime creature. So I want you to think about what creature's out there at night because it's a mammal and it scares us as well. It is the mighty skunk. Well, believe it or not, all of those other top nighttime predators, they may try to take a skunk once. But if they get sprayed, they're not going to hunt it again. It's not worth it. Not only does that awful stench hurt their noses, if you smell like, they've got to keep hunting, and if you smell like skunk, everything knows you're coming a long time before you get there, so it doesn't help. Now, our great horned owl has a lot of keen senses. It does not have much of a sense of smell, and that's bad luck for little Miss Daisy here. That spray is really her main defense. She also can't see very well, so she relies on her hearing to know when danger is coming, and we saw that the owls could be pretty quiet. Now she has waddled off because she's seen the show before, and she knows who's coming out next, and it is her arch enemy, the great horned owl. So while we wait for Olivia to come out, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Olivia is just maybe 3 years old. We got a call 3 years ago from Fish and Game down in the southern part of Arizona, and they'd gotten a call saying there was a little owl following people around at a campsite. So it turned out to be Olivia. Now that's not normal owl behavior. So they went and collected her. She was following people around begging for food. She's waiting for me to call her, so I'm gonna call her over here. Okay, Olivia. So what that told us or tells us is this is an owl that has imprinted on humans. So probably what happened, somebody found her on the ground and they thought she was in trouble, so they were going to rescue her, so they took her and they fed her, but unfortunately, because she was raised by a human, she doesn't know how to be an owl. She comes again. Now that gives us a chance to talk about the fact if you do find a baby raptor, an owl, or another raptor out of the nest, and it doesn't look as though it's injured, really the best thing to do at first is to leave it alone. If there's been a big wind, they could have been blown out of the nest. If they're learning to fly, they could be out of the nest. Now, if you see where the nest is and you can reach it, you can put that chick back up in there, because it's a myth that the parents won't take it, but it smells like human. So they have no problem with that. But really, if you're able to allow the parents to still be around, and if you wait a little bit and see if they keep taking care of the chick, or you can put it back up in the nest, that's really that bird's best chance for a life in the wild. So unfortunately for Olivia, she doesn't know how to hunt for herself, so she's going to stay an education bird. So the noises she's making are begging noises. She is an adult, but because she's been raised by humans and has been fed by humans, she just sees us all as kind of giant refrigerators. So she's hoping that somebody out there has an extra mouse in their pocket. So we're going to get her up here. We actually have another great horned owl after the show, George. And it's either going to be George or Olivia that's going to come out. He's got his own special story, somewhat similar to Olivia's. So that's a good tip. If you do see a baby raptor out of the nest and it doesn't look as though it's injured, leave it alone for a while and see if the parents are still around, coaxing it back to the tree and up to the nest where it belongs. But she's doing great. We'd love to use her for the silent owl part, but as you can tell, she's great at flying, but she's not very good at being silent. So we'll get her on back. She's really a sweet bird. Owls in general don't necessarily have sweet personalities, but she is a sweet bird. And she's also a great predator. Now, if you've been through the park here at Bearizona, you probably noticed a lot of the animals here are great hunters. And our birds are no different. They are the great hunters of the sky. When we first brought the birds here to start training them, they were building all the enclosures you see and our stage and the benches you're sitting on. And that disturbed a lot of rodents. That was a worry for us because rodents are a favorite food of raptors. We were afraid if our birds got sidetracked trying to hunt, it would make it difficult to get them to do the things we needed them to do. But it turned out we had nothing to worry about. Nature has a way of rebalancing itself, because once we started flying our birds, we stopped seeing any rodents of any kind. Those chipmunks, those squirrels, those, I don't know, we have little voles and all kinds of things running around, but they just sort of disappeared, and currently they really have disappeared. So we're just very proud of the fact that we have eliminated the rodent problem, at least in this part of the park. Okay, we're going to switch to the daytime raptors now. We're going to talk a little bit about the falcon family. Now, the fastest animal in the world, believe it or not, people usually say cheetah, but it's actually the peregrine falcon. They're the ones that can go into a dive at over 200 miles an hour. They're bird hunters, so they'll do that over a flock of birds. They'll pick a bird out and they'll just slam into it so hard they kill it on impact. Well, we don't have a peregrine to show you this morning, but we do have a pretty fast little falcon, and it's probably the most common falcon in North America. I bet you've all seen it, but some of you may not have realized what you were looking at, and that's the American kestrel. It's actually about the size of a large songbird, and they can go 50 or 60 miles an hour, but this is a little cricket, and we're going to talk about his falcon traits. He has very dark stripes down his cheek and very dark eyes, which is typical of falcons. Again, falcons mainly hunt other birds, so they spend their time in the air flying around. Those dark stripes down the cheek and dark eyes keep the sun from blinding them. He's also got really angular and pointed wings, which is another falcon trait. Falcons are built for speed. If you have to catch and kill another bird, you better be pretty fast and pretty maneuverable. That little tail pump he does, that's actually a kestrel trait. So if you see a pretty little songbird above your bird feeder that's pumping its tail, it's all by itself, it's probably a kestrel, and he's hunting your songbirds. Now, he eats insects, but one of his other favorite foods are mice. He has a special kind of superpower with his eyesight that helps him to hunt them. He can see into the ultraviolet range. Now, how that helps him hunt mice is when mice run along out in a field or something, they'll dribble urine to mark their territory. They'll pee to mark their territory. Urine fluoresces into the ultraviolet range. You and I can't see it, this little guy can see it. And if you've ever stood in front of a black light with a white shirt on, you know how you kind of glow? It's the same idea. So a lot of times you'll see these little guys out in an open field where there's really no place to perch. So they'll beat their wings so quickly they hover. And they're hovering, looking for the glowing urine trail of a mouse. And the brighter it is, the fresher it is, and at one end or the other, they're going to find lunch. Now we have one more bird to show you. This bird loves to fly low. So if everybody stays as still as they've been, you're going to get a great look. Now we're going to stay with the daytime raptors and talk about the hawk family. Hawks, like pretty much all raptors, for the most part are solitary. They like to be by themselves, except maybe during breeding season or when they're raising their young. But there are exceptions to that. And one of the most probably dramatic exceptions in the hawk world is the Harris hawk. That's a hawk we have right here in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Okay, she made you duck there, didn't she? Now what's different about these birds is they're not solitary. They don't stay by themselves. They stay and hunt in family groups pretty much their entire lives, kind of like a pack of wolves. Now think about what that does for you. If you hunt as a group, your success rate as hunting is going to be higher, and your mortality rate is going to be lower, so it works really well. Now people have already noticed she's a low flyer, and actually when you duck, she just flies lower, so it's not going to help you at all. I'm going to tell you why she's doing this though. She's not going to hurt you, but she's using you. She's looking for what we call ground effect, and that's when warm air pushes up from the ground and pushes air up. She has broad rounded wings that push air down when she flies, so it compresses that air and makes a nice bouncy cushion of air that makes it easier for her to fly. Now she has three sharp things that all of our raptors has. The first is that curved, sharp beak. They use that for ripping and tearing their prey. She also has curved, sharp talons, which are what she uses to kill with. That peregrine falcon is an impact killer. She went in between people there. Now, Brooke is a compression killer. Now, what that means for Brooke is that when she grabs onto her prey, she's going to dig in deeper with those talons until she pierces all the way through to a vital organ. Now, the third sharp thing she has is her eyesight. Raptors in general see further than we see. They see things in finer definition. They see colors we can't see, and they see faster than we see. They literally see faster than the human eye. Now, if you're flying through a densely wooded forest after fast-moving, zigzagging prey, if you can see faster, that is a huge advantage. Now, these Harris hawks are actually probably the most popular falconry bird in the world. Falconry is the sport of hunting with birds. These birds are very social. They work really well with humans, so they become very popular all over the place, even though they're really not found that many places. Mexico, Central, and South America are really their stronghold, and a little bit in the United States. Now, she's just a second-year bird, and so this is really her first probably full year doing the program, and she's doing a great job. You can tell that she's pretty comfortable flying so close to you. Again, they trust that nobody's going to be standing up and waving things just as they're going by. So she might fluff your hair a little bit or that kind of stuff, but she's not going to hurt you. So this is a little far north for them. This is their last flight there. Usually from Sedona on south in Arizona is where you'll see them. So any of you from the Phoenix or Tucson area, especially if you are near a golf course, which is a great place for them to hunt. If you see 4 or 5 or 6 hawks together, you're probably looking at a family of Harris hawks, which is really a lot of fun. Now, she's followed Amy back to her enclosure back there, and Amy's going to be coming back out with one of our owls. I'm not sure which one. It'll be a surprise. And she'll take that owl back behind you, probably behind one of the roped area there behind you. Also, if you have time on your way out, check out the enclosures that have our ravens in it. We have an African collared raven, Gracie, and then a local guy named Odin. Each have their kind of story. Very smart birds, a lot of fun to work with and teach tricks to. These two can actually do a magic trick where they help make your dollar bill disappear for a very worthy raptor rehabilitation program. But anyway, that's our show. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon at Bearizona.